What's up, Rockstars? Welcome to another news video where I'm going to be doing a deep dive into some big issues with the industry and how we might be able to solve them. I have some pointers for you. Thank you to my channel sponsor Into the AM. As a company that believes hard work and a great product is a proper way to conduct business, I am delighted to have them as part of the channel. They have some of the coolest graphic t-shirts around and an absolute best fit and feel that has continually exceeded my expectations. With new shirts arriving all the time and other products like boxers, hats, and even a monthly shirt club, I wholeheartedly recommend them to you. Check out the link in my description of this video for an exclusive 10% off everything they sell. Okay, now before we dive into this, and by the way, I'll be looking at Eldorado Games and how they've been updating their issue with the Age of Atlantis delivery, with Funagin and their delivery system and them shutting down and all that stuff. We're going to get into it, but before I do, and before I really kind of start laying into the issue here, I want to make it a big point here, to where if I have to do a video like this, you've already messed up. What I mean by that is I'm a community-driven channel. You guys told me to look into this, I looked into it, and now I'm making a video on it. Part of this is to get the word out so more people know what's going on, and we're going to talk about the ways that that can be trying to be hidden by the developer and stuff like that. We're going to be talking about that, but really it's also just to provide a voice for you guys, and again, just more information for you to go into the future when it comes to crowdfunding and kind of the dangers to the consumer that entails, so that you guys can make better decisions. But if there's a group of people asking me to make a video on you, and it's because of stuff like this, you've already failed as a developer in your most basic function of just keeping communication up and just trying to make the right decision for your backers. Now, let me kind of explain that. If you communicate well, if you are just kind of open and honest and heartfelt about it, and you're actually doing your best, you can get away with a lot. You would be amazed. And I know that there are some backers that still don't like this, at how much these developers get away with when it comes to being disorganized, making mistakes, being bad at estimation, stuff like that. If you did this stuff in like a normal job, your boss fires you. Yet for crowdfunding, we're like, okay, it's fine. Let's just get this game and make it great, and thanks for letting us know, and that's okay. You take your time or whatever. You can't do that. You can't be years late on a delivery of a project and keep your job normally. So the crowdfunding space is already extremely forgiving when it comes to a workplace, which is kind of what it is when you start taking money from people, right? When people are paying you, they expect certain things. And when you fail to do that, if they're being forgiving, that's just being nice on their part, not necessarily something that you deserve or earn or anything like that. So if you have people reaching out to me because I can be their voice and kind of get the word out where they can't, you've already messed up. And so I just want to make that clear that regardless of the issue, regardless of even whose fault it is, the quickest you should update. Like seriously, the moment you can get to a computer and let people know what's going on, even it doesn't have to be everything detailed, but it just needs to really be there. So I just want to put that into consideration. Let's go ahead and dive in. I'll talk more about this as we go along, and some of the you're only getting one side of things, and we'll talk about that too. So this is the Age of Atlantis. I remember covering this like a super cool game. It's by Eldorado Games. They seem to be doing a great job on crowdfunding at the time, and they continue to do so with Legend Academy. We'll see if they do anything after this. The answer is probably not. We'll talk about that. So the last update you'll see here, September 11th of 2022. Okay, so it's been a while since they've done an update. It's a fulfillment update, so they're definitely willing to do updates on fulfillments, right? Establishing that as well. So they're talking about how, hey, everybody's getting their games and everything's great and blah, blah, blah. And then it talks about how they're focused 100% on Legend Academy and doing stuff there, which is great because you can move on from this because it's delivering. That's super awesome. They also talked about getting a new job and the fact that they may not even do Kickstarters in the future. So whatever they've currently sold people, they're going to keep delivering, but they got a new job. It's probably doing really good for them. That's fantastic and great for Daniel. I'm assuming it's Daniel that got the job. I wish him the best of luck. I can fully understand having a job outside of the stuff you do for the board game community, as I'm in the same boat. So I understand the effort that takes. And I understand that just because it's your passion doesn't mean that it can replace your day job. It really very much depends on your day job and your lifestyle and your family size and all sorts of other stuff, right? There's a whole plethora of things that could go into that. So that's fine. I don't judge anybody for anything around that. But it is important to note that, right? So in other words, it seems like he's doing this part-time. So keep that in mind. Okay. So that was the last update. There has been an update much more recent than this, but it was not written as an update. It's written as a comment that's been pinned. In fact, 30 days ago. So early February is when this, or I guess mid-February is when this kind of came out, early mid-February. What's important to note there is really why this is a comment and not an update. And that's because the people that are still commenting on a game that's already delivered are people who don't have it. If you already have the game, the most you might do is go to the comment to say, hey, I got my game, it's great. And then leave and never come back. Whereas an update will email everybody. Okay, so keep that in mind. So I'm not going to read this whole thing to you. I thought about it actually. It's a pretty interesting story. I've linked to it down in the description below. You can always find out that. I always try to kind of show my sources when it comes to that kind of stuff. So feel free to read this verbatim or pause the video and read it there and stuff like that. That's fine, totally. But I'm not going to do that to you guys here because I want to talk about it more than just read it. But essentially what he's talking about is how he partnered with Funagin to actually, deliver the stuff. And I've gotten plenty of stuff from Funagin back in the day. I haven't recently, and that's probably a part of why they've went defunct. But suffice it to say, if you didn't know, Funagin Logistics said, hey, we're closing shop, no more, we're done as a company. Very, very bad, and threw a lot of people for a loop. Now, there's a lot of companies that have dealt with this. We'll get into that later. But suffice it to say, he was dealing with this as well. But as he said here, we received counsel that it may not be wise to bring this conflict to the public, so we stayed silent. So I don't know whose counsel that was, why they valued it so much, but I can guarantee that the counsel that they got was not from backers. Because I don't know a backer who would not want to be told something. I don't know a backer who would want to be left in the dark. And by backer, I mean the person that paid him money, right? That is important. He talks later on about his kids. The part of him being able to buy his kid gifts or ice cream or whatever is from you guys. It's from backers. So the council obviously didn't come from that. Nobody is going to vote to stay ignorant, right? That is definitely us and them. That is definitely us as in industry, as in creators, stuff like that, and not a them, which is backers. Which is part of the reason why you guys have to come to me, because there is that us and them, and often they don't see the other side of things. They're too close to their thing. Totally understandable, by the way. Not everybody is very good at that, and if you're swamped, right, if you're working full-time somewhere else, you got this new nice job, and then you're also working on these Kickstarters and stuff like that, and selling starts taking up more of your time, that time is just, you're in the trenches, you're just doing it. Okay, so I don't even necessarily hold that necessarily against them not keeping backers in mind. Sometimes people need to be reminded. Ideally, you have somebody that always is there reminding you, hey, it's all about these people. They're the ones that gave you this money. $224,000 for almost 5,000 people gave him money. And that's before the pledge manager even. So definitely important. But obviously it wasn't us that told him that, right? That was not our counsel. I disagree with that entirely. I don't think people should remain ignorant. I think it's very important to talk about issues. If you're having issues with Funagin Logistics, talk about it. Now, and this is actually a point here. I'm going to move on in just a moment, but they're talking about how, because it's a conflict between them, people think that an issue needs to be a blame game. That an issue needs to be this person sucks, this company sucks, they didn't do this for us, I'm throwing them under the bus. You can talk about issues and not be negative about it. Talk about issues and not be blame gaming about it. There's issues throughout development. Creating anything of value tends to have some blood, sweat, and tears. And those blood, sweat, and tears doesn't come from happy times. It comes from times of tribulation, times where you're actually dealing with stuff, like having difficulties with logistics. It's just one of many things. And you can definitely write an update. You can definitely inform your backers of some issues you're having without it being oh my gosh, Funagin is garbage and you guys should all angry email him. In fact, you can make it a point to say, don't do that. They're doing their best. They're obviously under some stress. We're working with them right now, but we're working on it, or whatever. Like you can spin it in a way to where it seems like it's a deal you're dealing with, but it's not like they're a supervillain or something like that. It's not like they're the bad guys. So hopefully that makes sense there. Okay, so I, again, disagree with this wholeheartedly. This is one of the worst sentences I can see any developer writing. It's just terrible counsel, and they should never have listened to whoever told them that. Not good, and obviously not good. Hindsight's 2020 for Daniel, but I'm going to keep calling him Daniel if I can, instead of Eldorado Games, because I want you guys to know, obviously, it's a person. It's a real person. It's a father. I don't know if he's married, a husband, maybe. Either way, somebody's son. Somebody calls him dad, right? He's got kids. Okay, real people. We're not talking about this like mindless entity that we can just like tear apart. Like don't be like that. We can all be adults here and be serious, be stern, but not mean-spirited. Hopefully you guys caught that. I talk about that all the time. Okay. So essentially what they say is Funagin was doing just Peachy. They'd always done Peachy, and then they kept getting these support emails. Even a month after delivery, they're like, well, that's kind of weird. Why am I still getting all these? And so they started working with them, and they were working with this person, well, for what they say, for about 6 months, for 2 to 3 hours every day to resolve any issues. And again, they said they happily did this, right? So Daniel is just trying to help, spending 2 to 3 hours every day. The reason I have that marked in red is because I'm calling BS on it. 2 to 3 hours a day for 6 months is such an exorbitant amount of time. When you actually start adding it up, first of all, I'm assuming that's 5 days a week, maybe not. I don't know. It just says for 6 months. Then one day after about 6 months of putting in 2 to 3 hours every day, so that's every day. Maybe it was 7 days. Either way, that's a ton of time. If you weren't able to organize your thoughts more and to, okay, who needs what and what's going on there and all that, then that's messed up. When I talk about trenches, I talk about working to where you don't have a break and you're just like, you don't have time to plan or organize or take a step back or anything like that. You're just hustling and bustling, right? Totally understand that. Totally understand the hustle. I don't buy the 2 to 3 hours just resolving support emails for the Age of Atlantis. That's not something I'm buying. That's a ton of time. If you couldn't get in an Excel sheet with a list of people, because they claim they don't even know how many people don't have their games. So let's not try and like fluff ourselves up. Okay, it's time to be real here. I'm sure it was a lot of work. I'm sure it was. And just say, hey, I put a ton of time into this. That's fine too. Talk about how you did it, on as a part-time thing when you still have a regular job too. Fine, that's whatever. But the 2 to 3 hours a day, every single day for 6 months, it's a little bit of an exaggeration, obviously. But what they're saying is essentially, they were just trying to work with this person, and then the person would say, I got it in the queue, it's going to be shipped out, and then they would count it as done. And then they turned out that person doesn't work at Funagin anymore, and they also never sent out like half those. So then they're working with another person to do it, but they're getting a long time. It's taking several weeks to get a game out, and it just is a mess where it's in the queue, but then they don't know, and then still wouldn't send it out for 2 to 3 months after saying that. Sometimes they would respond privately, sometimes they would respond with the person on the email. We'll talk about that later. They said, overall, it was a strange case of packing the buck for what appears to be no reason. I just wanted all the games sent to those who pledged for them. It's kind of odd that this is happening here because it comes across as Daniel passing the buck onto Funagin. Now, I'm not saying take all this away, none of this happened. I'm not saying that at all. Okay. However, we are only getting his version of it. I'm not saying like his spin on it or anything. Everybody sees, it's like the bad guy doesn't see himself as the bad guy. I'm not saying Daniel's the bad guy. I'm just saying everybody sees their point of view, and what they are doing seems rational to them. If you're upset, it's because of course you're upset. If you're busy, it's because of course you're busy. If it's because you're, whatever it is, right? It's always like justified for you. And so this is how he saw it, and I honestly believe that's how he's seen it. But what this is hey, I hustled and bustled 2 to 3 hours every single day for 6 months to get these to you guys, and it's just fun again. There's nothing I could do, and in fact, it even says down here, whether I wanted to or not, I was forced to trust them into doing that. Also, not necessarily true. There could have been more done. I'll talk about that shortly as well. There is some green here too. For instance, right here, I'm so sorry. Right here, I'm so sorry. I feel awful. Those are great sentences. Those are the best sentences in this entire thing. Not because I want him to feel bad, but because it shows that now that he's able to take a step back, now that he's not hustling and bustling, he realizes what the impact is here. To a degree. We'll talk about that as well. Okay. And then just talks about how, like, hey, don't worry, Legend Academy, you'll be fine. You're essentially SOL if you're one of the approximately 75 remaining backers that haven't gotten their games, though, of course, it's hard to know the exact number because of the lack of tracking. Again, he could have made an Excel sheet by now and tracked every single support thing. It would have taken one of those 2 to 3 hour sessions, just one of them, to have that completely done. It gives you 3 hours to comb through your things and just take in a name, stuff like that. It's what I do for when I send out shipments to you guys, or track who won what from the fundraiser and stuff like that. It again just takes the time. You do it at night, whatever. You get your soda. You're like, all right, I guess I'm getting less sleep tonight. Let's knock it out, get it done, and that's exactly what you do. So you there could have been some tracking here. You could have gathered all the information you needed, all their addresses, their backer numbers, all that stuff. Doesn't take too long. It really doesn't. You just got to actually do it. Now, granted, the logistics company should 100%, but they didn't. So then it kind of goes to him and just bubbles up. It's somebody's problem, and it shouldn't be the backers. So anyway, Funagin is done, and so if you don't get your game, you're just, I guess, out of luck, because that's where he left it. He was forced to trust them. Okay, let's go and scroll down here. I've read every single one of your responses, including the ones not responded directly to him. Again, I'm community driven. I want to know what you guys are saying, what you guys are thinking, and I want to give you guys a voice. Right here, Rolando said here, I have received neither the game, and I am currently in a 3-way email with you and Funagin, where you're the only one not replying to the email. Remember, he said that he was definitely doing his part, doing 2 to 3 hours of work every single day to do this. While we've been waiting more than a month for you to say I'm a backer of the game and they can send them to me, way to blame someone else. I always tell my kids this. I always do. And I'll quote, because I say it all the time. They'll know. You can't lie to somebody who knows the truth. If you can't tell somebody that's in an email that's been waiting on you to reply, hey, Funagin isn't replying. I've been trying to get them to answer, but they just take forever to answer when you're not the one answering. You just can't do that. You just got to own up to it. There's no point in lying to people that know. So if you've been in email conversations and you're not the one responding, that's on you. Now, they do claim that they responded privately at times. First of all, definitely a mistake. Definitely, if there is a customer there, if nothing else, you tell the customer, hey, sorry, I'm going to go and take this offline and just talk to Funagin. We'll get you sorted. I'll keep you updated. And do that. You don't just drop them. There's no remove from the to field and then just keep talking and leave them in the dark. So it's either gross incompetency on how to deal with customers, or it's the fact that they just didn't respond. Either one's kind of bad. The Nicholas here, I don't believe this at all. You could have answered any of the 30 plus emails between you, me, and Funagin and told them to ship. You didn't. Even the email I sent 4 days ago, you didn't respond to. So nope, this is BS. And then he says here, I get that something happened, but there's more than what is being presented. As I said, you're getting one side of it. Funagin is not commenting. Funagin probably won't. They're not around anymore. So it is kind of a free scapegoat. And we'll talk about that in a little bit here too. But just know that anytime you're getting fed updates, you're only getting fed what they're willing to feed you, what they're willing to give. And what they're willing to give might be not everything. They started this update. Daniel started this update saying, hey, we guys purposely chose, after even talking about it, to not tell you something, to keep you in the dark. That was his decision, was to not tell you something. So it's very hard to then believe everything that's being told after that. When you introduce with, hey, I will choose sometimes, and I thought it's justified to not tell you certain things to keep you ignorant. So not exactly the best way to start a story. Now down here, also here, this is great. Daniel posted this as behind the scenes in the beginning. He's like, let me tell you what's been going on. Except other campaigns dealing with Funagin closing haven't had this issue of supposedly Funagin ignoring emails and informing and information like Daniel implies. Nobody is in a vacuum here. You can always compare to other companies dealing with the exact same kind of issue. Hey, Funagin was supposed to deliver our stuff. They were in the middle of delivering it and now they're not. So if you're the only one doing this, then it's kind of hard to believe that it's actually on Funagin. Because you can point, okay, well, why isn't everybody else having the same issue? Why would they only pick Eldorado Games to kind of shaft like this? Like, that just doesn't make any sense. And of course, there's comments and comments and comments and comments. This one, although Funagin is out of business, it does not justify why we're waiting on Daniel to respond since November. Agreed. I'm totally agreed. That is definitely ridiculous. And as you can see, there's still no comments. This was pretty much a toodaloo, ta-ta, I'm done. This is your final thing, as far as I can tell. Or they're busy doing stuff behind the scenes and purposely deciding not to tell you. Once again, if it gets to this point, you have failed. You goofed up. You done goofed it up, okay? The moment these people are asking for information, asking for emails, and they're not getting it, and so they seek me, it should never happen. The moment it gets to me, there's been a mistake. There's obviously been some kind of communication issue, some kind of decision issue, some kind of issue that isn't being resolved there. It's not just that they naturally come to me. They'll naturally come to you. Only when they can't get anything from you do they come to me. Guys, I'm sorry you had to tell me about this, and I'm sorry that you have not gotten your games. I feel that, some comments did that. Some people paid, okay, just ship it over to Quartermaster Logistics and have them handle it. He could have just said, ship it to me. And worst case scenario, then I'll contact them and be like, hey, I can't afford to send this to you, but I now have the copy because you've paid for them to ship it, so just have them ship it to you. So now you have 75 copies of this game or whatever. And then you can deal with them and have them pay for shipping or meet you halfway or do whatever. In fact, Daniel, if you would have just done that, and just said, okay, now I need to ship these out. I don't have the funds for this. I do this part-time. I can't even do this full-time, obviously with the cost and all that stuff, but I want to get these games to you. So either I will ship them out as I can, as they're willing to pay for it, or I can do a little bit of a fundraiser. You would be surprised, again, how much you can get away with this stuff when it comes to crowdfunding. You could have done a GoFundMe, and I guarantee you would have gotten the money. You would have. Like, there would have been some, like, angel backer that would have been like, yeah, here's $150. If people donate to my channel, it flabbergasts me. And they donate quite a bit. It's amazing, the community around these board games. It's amazing how strong we feel about this and how giving a lot of these backers are, how giving a lot of you guys are. And I feel that Daniel just doesn't realize how giving you guys really are. That if he had tried everything and if he had explained the whole way through, again, it's kind of, you can't do it too late. But if you had been like, I've been struggling with this Funagin and I've been trying to get it out, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. They send the email saying, hey, we're going out. They're like, okay, fine, send it to me. I'll figure it out. And then you talk to their backers about it. You guys would have found a way to get those copies. You would have found a way to do it. Would have happened. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. So it just sucks to see somebody not put in that really big push, especially with something that affects so many people. I do a lot of small time stuff on here. 5,000 backers, and that's just this, not including other stuff. In fact, I believe there's one other game before this also that still even had some delivery issue too. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people really relying on you to do what you need to do. Too little, too late, obviously. You should have never taken that counsel. Don't listen to whoever told you that, don't ever take their advice. Again, they're terrible at advice. That is not smart. Not smart at all. If I don't even know why you would ask, hey, should I purposely keep the people that gave me money ignorant? And they responded yes, and you say, okay? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Why would you do that? Obviously, you didn't word it that way. You didn't realize it was that way. And it could have just been because you're hustling and bustling. That's fine. But I'm really tired of making these videos, guys. Not because I don't want to. I want to be a creator for you guys. I want to be driven by you guys to be able to provide for you guys. This is a great lesson learned, hopefully for future creators. Any of you guys watching this, thank you so much, obviously, for listening through this. And I hope that you've learned what not to do. Definitely learn from the mistakes of others, not your own if you can help it. Learn from your own too, but ideally you're not making too many of them. And I think this is a lesson learned, that communication. I don't know how many times I have to say this, how many times I have to be on this drum. The moment something bad happens, you need to start being honest with people. I'm not saying it has to be like the split second, like, okay, send an email, try to resolve it, give it a few days, whatever, right? But like 6 months of trying to solve this and you're just not telling anybody about it, all you're going to do is make people upset. Even if they get their game, you may have already ruined it for them. Just unfortunate. So anyway, guys, I'm going to have another news video here real soon. Zombicide's on Kickstarter. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on, so stay tuned for that. That'll be coming next. But I wanted to kind of dive into this and really talk through this because I get this a lot. You guys reach out all the time. And if you do need to reach out, please do. I definitely appreciate you guys pointing me in the direction that I might need to go to kind of look at what's going on with this industry and hopefully how you guys are doing. Both positive and negative. I love positive stories. I love to share those as I can as well. So feel free to share those too. Guys, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. I'm sorry about your games, guys. Bye.